one of Kierkegaard's main theories of what he's known for. I haven't read him, but I kind of read about this, and it's a theory called either or. And so the idea is you either live an aesthetic life or you live so an aesthetic yeah, you either live an aesthetic life, you either live an aesthetic life or you live an ethical life. And this is kind of being a tongue twister for me, but an aesthetic life is one that basically tries to avoid suffering and seeks pleasure and avoids deep sort of responsibility. Whereas an ethical life is one of virtue, one of embracing suffering and sort of some sort of religious devotion, maybe. And the he, Kierkegaard says like the worst life is one of indecision. And so you can't pick both. And when you try and pick both, he says you end up in this state of self-deception. This kind of you're very like passive. You have this existential like dissatisfaction, and he says life will eventually force you through some sort of crisis or realization, where maybe you were this rebellious kid, that sort of maybe your parents were religious and you sort of got sick of it and decided to be a savage. Or you start being really hedonistic and then you realize that was shallow. So the two different kind of um, it would be either a crisis or a realization. And I thought I think this is a decently big problem. And I see it in myself as well that like most people are trying to do a bit of both. They're trying to not suffer and be have a decent amount of pleasure, but then also live with virtue and maybe a higher power. And so, well, a lot probably like I said, you can't do that, and that's why I think all these people feel lost. And yeah, when like I apply that to myself, like um, I've kind of already overcame the crisis of well, I'm going to suffer for the next 5 years, while people around me sort of enjoy themselves, and so I have to be okay with that. Um, and that's why I think I like connect with people that have suffered. But I and that's maybe a situation where I've done this well when I've committed more into the ethical life, but then like with like relationships, I'm still like scared of taking my dating life seriously because I don't think I'm valuable enough as a person. I don't have maybe the time and money to invest. Um, and but then on the other side, like I don't want to fall into hedonism and kind of be exchanging parts of my soul. Um, so in the relationship context, like I'm definitely an either or. And so I think uh, I'm waiting for the universe to kind of sway me in one way. But then this is different because in the past, like societies were more ethical. Like we operated in a
Is
lot
that
of
true
really
though? I don't know, like the extra cases of like murder and um like political sort of corruption and things. I think maybe I guess you're viewing that because it's like religion was a larger thing, which could
the wait for
benefit.
which point?
For you saying that like in the past people were more ethical.
Oh, okay, okay. I think we had more religious dogma, and yeah, kind of solely on the religious side. But yeah, that's a good point. It might not be um completely true, but I feel like when you compare it to today, like we live in this world of abundance, where like the world kind of shows us what we should value,
Maybe
and
the point is that the world we live in today, there's so much more opportunity to live an aesthetic, pleasure-seeking life
mm,
because of that convenience and abundance.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, we just got all these values kind of compete against each other, and I know it reminds me of that scene in Breaking Bad where like I think it's Mike who's like, don't take a half measure. and like in the context of like you got to go fully through with something. Like you can't finish a job half-assed. And yeah, I know. I feel like it's why people are lost. Living in either role.
Yeah, I remember Matthew McConaughey, one of his first points on modern wisdom last year, I think, it was don't half-ass it. Whatever
Mm.
you do, don't half-ass it. You know what I mean? If you want to really try towards something like virtuous and difficult, don't half-ass it. Like at least push yourself as far as you can go. And even if it fails, at least you know you did all that you could do. So the failure is fine. Or even if you want to, if you want to become a super fan of a particular movie or TV franchise, like don't half-ass it. Like become really good, become like super knowledgeable on that thing. Like it doesn't matter what thing you do. Um, pursue it at full intensity, and then at least you'll get an outcome that you should have got by trying hard. Um, but no, I like this. I like this frame. It's like I've questioned myself a lot when I fall into kind of unvirtuous, aesthetically focused behavior patterns. I know there's this like little voice in my brain that goes, yeah, but Joel, you can't live like this and be the person you want to be. It's like that ethical voice that's going where you can't indulge in the ways that you are and be the person that you want to be most. And what would you really prefer? Is it this momentary pleasure and satisfaction, or do you want to look at your life and go, well, you became the person that you knew you could be for the world and for your communities and for yourself? So it's very true, and I think people are there is a drive in people to live an ethical life. They just maybe don't know how, or they it's so easy, isn't it, to just get kind of caught in the whirlwind of modern convenience and abundance. And failure is terrifying. Suffering is scary. That's why it's suffering. It's not nice. But do you want your life to be nice? I don't know. It's an interesting question. Um, so I like this. I like that idea that you can't. It's like it links back to the cringy story that I told, like many, many podcasts ago about people in my A-level classes going, oh, I wish I could have the results you get. And it's like, do you though? Because like when you go and have like that house party at the weekend, you look like you're having a good time, but you can't both do that and do what I'm doing at the same time. We just don't have enough time to do that. So like, yes, that's a cringy like example that makes me sound like a dickhead, but the principle is that you can't both have this and that. It's not, you can't either or. You know what I'm saying? Like I get jealous when I see you guys going and having a great time socially, and for some reason, probably my own like insecurity and weird ambitious brain made me like wake up on a Saturday morning and study. But that's life. That's the decision I made. So you got to live by it. Don't half-ass it. You know what I mean?
Mm. There's I saw a clip of Peterson saying how men should be like a shepherd. That should be the masculine role model, because a shepherd is someone that takes care of lambs, um, I think little sheep, and but he's also someone that protects them from wolves, um, and has this kind of responsibility, but it's also a leader, and it's a good metaphor. It's a good masculine metaphor. That's the biblical masculine metaphor, and I think that's yeah. If you want to be an ethical person, try and be like a shepherd.
Mm. Yeah, man. Like, I want the best for people, I guess. I feel like I talked about this in a previous episode, didn't I? Like doing things out of love. That's a beautiful way to live your life, I guess. And that's an ethical way because love's painful at times. It's difficult to do things out of love. It's very easy to do things out of your own self-interest and the drives of your ego. That's your default mode. Um, but yeah, doing things for a virtuous reason. What a beautiful way to live life. It's not easy, it's not nice, but do you want your life to be easy and nice? I don't think I do. Maybe you do, and if you do, that's great. Go and live a nice, easy life. That's fine. But like suffering is going to hit you at some point, so you've got to be kind of ready for it or aware of it, I guess.
I thought of this analogy of I feel like if you like someone just for their looks or their aesthetics, or you like something just for its aesthetics, um, it's like buying an apple but for the round shape and the red color.
Mm.
Like, would you rather have um, a wonky apple that tastes great,
Mhm.
smells great, and hopefully isn't bruised, or do you want this nice red like shaped apple but when you bite into it, it's sour and
And also, that nice looking apple is going to decay anyway.
Mm.
I mean, it's a nice, eventually it's gonna start going moldy and shit.